YWC football talking of the Danny Dimes Primetime special with my guest of this time, BigRat 310. We'll be back here too for episode 3 of the final installment of the Danny Dimes Primetime series, we think, on November 22nd against the Bucs. Heads up. But BigRat, we're back, and Danny Dimes is on primetime, and the New York Giants just got an interception off Mahomes.
Yeah, they can't stop turning it over. Like every week, all the pundits keeps, like I know Mina Kimes was saying, oh yeah, their offense is fine. It's a great offense. They just keep turning it over, but that's fluky. And it's like, yeah, but it happens every week. Every week it happens in the red zone. It's crazy.
We were talking about this off air, and like with this Chiefs team, I feel like it's like you were saying this. You said that on the Manning cast, Patrick was saying he has to learn to be more disciplined and play more boring. But at the same time, too, I feel like his mind and America and everyone that's like watching is like looking for those Sports Center moments. Like that's why they ran that Grand Ole Opry right there, for example, because they're trying to do that. But then you had an incompletion, then you just have the wonky interception. Like, and I've said this too. I think if 3 and 5 is staring at them, and considering who they have coming up, you lose this game, you definitely have to go 3-0 to even get back to 500.
Yeah, it would basically, they have some tough games, like we kind of talked about also off air. They still have some good teams left on the schedule. They still have some tough games in their own division. And if they lose this, missing the playoffs is very much on the table.
Yeah, because even think about it, like I said, you have the Packers, the Raiders, and the Cowboys, which 2 of the 3 are in the 4:25 window, and the Raiders game is Sunday Night Football. So, and that is going to be a great Sunday Night Football game coming up next Sunday from Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun one. And Vegas, I believe, is favored, but by less than a field goal. So that should be fun to watch.
And even last year, too, if you remember, Sunday Night Football in Vegas, for some reason, Paul Gunther ran blitz 0 on the Chiefs late in the game, and we learned you don't do that against Patrick Mahomes. So that's that.
Yeah, pretty much. And then Jonathan Abram, had a huge bust in coverage also on that play at the same time too. But now they have better coaching and they have a much better pass rush, and like their defense is actually significantly improved. So that'll be good to watch.
Exactly. Well, anyway, let's see. Okay, BigRat is ahead of my feed, so if you hear him say something, I don't know what's going on, but I love the whole pause. Because remember the Christmas show last year where Danny was ahead of you and you had a big fantasy matchup? Oh, what the? We called it. You called it a crazy interception. Anything happens when it's the Danny Dimes primetime shows.
Oh, my God. To a linebacker, nonetheless, right in the middle of the field.
Oh, that is excellent. I don't know who number 50 is. I can't see that off the top of my head.
That's Willie Gay. Their second round pick, I think last year or this year, I forget.
No, that was last year. This year was Nick Bolton out of Missouri. That was great. That was great coverage recognition by Gay there, though. Like he read that play perfectly.
Wow, what a break for the Chiefs.
Yeah, no kidding. Did not begin a drive from beyond their own 25. Jesus Christ, that's really bad. But anyway, let's dive into it. Let's just get this paint over with quickly. Since you were last on, the Dolphins obviously have not had the exactly ideal season. Just want your perspective on why exactly you think things have gone the way they have.
Hey, I will try to not make this another classic 10-minute discussion like I have in years past. But it's a lot. Like before the season, you guys asked me like, "Are you feeling good? Are you feeling good about it?" And it was like right when like the Watson rumors were starting to creep up again. And I remember saying, I was feeling good. Now, like, I don't really know. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's kind of confusing. But generally, I was feeling good, especially since when Mac got named the starter. I remember telling you guys that I thought that meant we were going to beat the Patriots, and we did. And not that Mac played bad or anything like that. Just that I thought Cam Newton with his legs would give us a little more trouble, kind of like how Josh Allen yesterday was in a slump in the first half. And the only big play he had in the first half was when he broke off for like a 40-yard run because like the Dolphins want to play a lot of man coverage. And when you do that and you don't put a spy on the quarterback, like it leaves a wide open lane for the quarterback to run through. And Cam destroyed us with that week 1 last year. Allen destroys us with that regularly. So I just thought that gave us a good advantage against them. But yeah, like I was feeling good after week 1. I was feeling great. I was like, yes, a road division win. That's really impressive. That's really hard to do. I don't think the Damian Harris fumble is a good excuse considering my quarterback was trying to throw the ball out of bounds and got hit at the last moment and ended up throwing an interception. And also considering the Dolphins got the ball with like 3 minutes left on their own 3-yard line and ran out the clock. Patriots, like, if they're as good of a defense as they were against Justin Herbert yesterday, they shut down the Dolphins offense, get the ball back at midfield, and kick the game-winning field goal anyways. So I was feeling really good. And now it just seems like it's a lot, man. Like, this has been the most not fun season I've ever had as a Dolphins fan. I really don't even think that's hyperbole. Two years ago, we started 1-7 as well, but the expectations were a lot lower. The fact that they got a win in the first place was a surprise. A lot of people thought they'd go 0-16. So the energy level around that 1-7 and this 1-7 is just so different because of where we are in the rebuild cycle. You know, there's rumors that the players hate Brian Flores, that he's an asshole, that he's too hard on them in practice, that he's hard to communicate with. No one really knows what's going on. And so there's some rumblings that he's lost the locker room, even though the fans loved him. And even though the general media thought he did a great job the first 2 years, I thought so as well. You know, there is sometimes like you people know this in life. Sometimes when you have like a boss that like you think is kind of a jerk, it's like sometimes after a certain period of time, you just get sick of it. And I think that's kind of what's going on. It's like, even though some of these people have been here for 3 years, they're just kind of sick of it. And now he's not winning to back it up anymore, like Belichick can with his attitude. I think getting rid of the leaders in the offseason that they did for football reasons, like getting rid of Kyle Van Noy, getting rid of McCain, I think that has hurt the locker room, because I understand the football logic behind why they did both of those things. They wanted to give Andrew Van Ginkel a bigger role in the defense, and they drafted Javon Holland in the second round this year, who now is playing Bobby McCain's old deep free safety role and is doing a very good job at it. And so football-wise, it made sense, but you kind of kicked out the two leaders of the defense. And I did notice earlier when the season started, their three captains are Landon Roberts, Mac Hollins, and Clayton Fajetulum. Those are literally the captains of the Miami Dolphins. Like their seventh string wide receiver, a linebacker who's not very good, and a special teams player. Like, their best player, the leadership on this team is not very good. Combine that head coach that's pissing everyone off. And I do think at this point it's kind of mental. Like, they should have won that Jaguars game. Like, they were clearly winning for most of the first half. They should have been up by 3 touchdowns going into halftime. And, you know, they blew the game. Flores in particular blew it on the way he managed the clock and the defense on the last drive. He 100% blew the game. And I think that after losing that game, it seems like it's in their head. It seems like they're in a hole and they can't really dig themselves out of it. Like, I thought Greg Rosenthal termed it well. They're not ready for their season to get saved yet. And that's kind of what I've seen. And then the Watson stuff won't go away. They don't want it to go away because they don't want to piss him off, because they know that he wants to come here more than anywhere else. So even though in their ideal world they would give Tua the full season, they don't want to piss off Watson. They don't want to risk another team getting Watson. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to play Tua, evaluate him, see what he's got. But if he doesn't work out, they want to be able to just move on from him and go to Watson rather than moving on from him and going nowhere. And so they're playing this horrible game where they clearly are. They don't want to close the door on Watson, and everybody knows it. But now, like, Tua is being asked about it in every single press conference. Brian Flores is being asked about it in every single press conference. It's toxic and it's exhausting. As a fan, it's not just that they're losing. It's that we have to deal with this stuff every week, whether it's from Charles Robinson or Ian Rappaport or Jay Glazer, Adam Schefter. Every week there's updates and nothing changes. Nothing changes. It's 4 months of this. 4 months of these nonstop reports that just won't fucking go away. And it's exhausting to follow. It puts the fan base in a moral quandary. You know, there's certainly some fans that are like, well, innocent until proven guilty. Like, he's an elite quarterback. Even if Tua gets better and improves, is he ever going to be as good as Watson is? Like, certainly, like, that's on the table. There's also a lot of fans that are just like, okay, look, he's a sexual predator, like an alleged one that should be borne out in court before we even make a decision on this. And the fact that the Dolphins could very well trade him by tomorrow before this stuff is resolved is scary. The new reporting is that Watson could settle all the civil cases, the 22 civil cases. And if he does, then 8 of the 10 criminal charges in theory would go away, because Though obviously part of the agreement in the settlement would be that they cannot be corroborating witnesses for the criminal charges. So like Watson's hope is that he can settle those cases, make the 22 civil cases go away, make the 8 criminal cases go away. However, there are 2 criminal cases that are not suing him on the side. They are literally just there to file a criminal charge. And so Watson just can't make those go away by tomorrow. I'd be stunned. Like, I don't know how it's even possible. So it's just impossible for tomorrow to come and Watson to have cleared all these issues. So if the Dolphins do it, they're doing it while he still has these issues hanging over his head in some form. And the report is Watson doesn't want to settle. Watson really wants to clear his name. He really wants to go through the whole court process, drag this out as long as possible. Now the question is, when he finally realizes, hey, if you don't settle, you're not going to play football this year. Because I think this whole time he's been holding out hope. He'd get traded by the trade deadline. He'd start playing in the second half of the season. If he realizes, hey, like there's no other way, then does that cause him to finally settle and move on? Maybe. I do not know. I do not know the answer to that question. But the team is losing. They've embarrassed their quarterback for no reason, even though he's generally played well the last 3 weeks. Most metrics say that. He's around like the most good analytics you look at. Adjusted net yards per attempt, PFF grades, EPA per play, CPOE. He's like right next to Mac Jones in every single ranking. They're both like 18 and 19, flip-flop depending on the ranking. Like in every metric. They're both like that's where they are right now. And Mac Jones has only started like 6 less games than Tua has. Like because Tua missed the 4 games with his rib injury. So if you include the Bills game where he got hurt, where he only played like half a quarter. So he's improved. He's generally playing well. The team is losing. The locker room is falling apart. There's rumors that the coach needs to be fired. There's rumors that the GM needs to be fired. They're embarrassing Tua. And look at this position they're putting the fans in. Either they trade for this guy and raise all those moral questions that I talked about earlier, if you feel comfortable as a fan with this guy as your quarterback. Or if they don't, even if they don't, it's gotten to the point where the damage to the relationship with Tua, I don't think they can ever undo. Like, it was so public. It was just so understood by everyone that they were trying to get Watson that it becomes a situation where, well, now you could lose Tua and not get Deshaun Watson. Now that's on the table. Because if you don't trade for him tomorrow, the offseason comes, his charges get cleared, and the Philadelphia Eagles like beat your offer, or the Carolina Panthers beat your offer. Now what are you left with? You're left with Tua, but like you made it very clear to everyone known to man that you were trying to replace him. Like, and my team does not have their first round pick. So you're just, I think it's a toxic mess that is a combination of factors of the trade rumors, of Brian Flores losing the locker room, of a bad roster that don't get me wrong, they're playing worse than their talent level. They should not be this bad. Like, and I see it watching them every week. It just, like, whether it be the Jaguars game when the Jags had the ball on the last drive of the game, the Falcons, you have a 1-point lead and the Falcons had the ball, or the Bills game even on Sunday, like the Dolphins offense finally scores. You make it a 6-point game. Bills have the ball with like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Get one stop, give the ball back to the offense. You could go and steal the game. Like, they're crumbling in these moments. It's like they're so afraid. They're scared of their own shadow. They're spiraling. There's no other way to say it. Like, it's like when you lose like 7 bets in a row in gambling or in Vegas, and like you're just on tilt and like you just want to win again so badly, and you start pressing and you start making mistakes, and they're very much in their heads. I think it is possible once this trade deadline clears, maybe Tua plays a little freer, maybe some guys on the offense that like Tua play a little freer, maybe things start to get better. Say which one about Flores, a hallmark of him over the last 3 years is that his team has gotten better as the year has gone along. Now, he shouldn't get too much credit for that, given how horrible the start was this year. But it's a mental complication of factors that I hope improves. And like the defense being as bad as it is just so confusing because like everyone said, oh, they're going to regress in turnovers. They really haven't regressed that much. They're 12th in the league in turnovers. Yes, they were first last year, but they're still in the top 12. They get turnovers every week. They did it against the Bills and they didn't against the Bucs, but they got turnovers in every other game. Against Atlanta, against the Jaguars, against the Raiders, against the Colts. They get turnovers every week still. So that argument that Danny and other people were saying that, oh, they're going to stop getting turnovers now, that it's going to suck. No. They had a slight regression, but the fact that their pass defense is just not improved at all and it's gotten worse is confusing. And I don't really know why. And hopefully things get better. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's my long way of saying, yeah, it's tough to be a Fins fan right now. There's no doubt about it.
The one point I want to make too is how everyone says like, oh, should have gone for Herbert. We have this conversation every year. Like I even pointed out to you, and I think it was a DM because there was a whole thing about like that, and I said in 2019 Herbert was supposed to come out, and if you remember, Herbert would have gone number 1 overall that year. He was the best quarterback. He decided to go back his junior year, so Kyler comes in. But what if the Cardinals go with Herbert comes out in 2019, and then say the Giants end up with Kyler Murray? Just hypotheticals based on who needed quarterbacks.
Yep.
And then the whole time, too, if Kyler, say, in New York isn't exactly doing well, because obviously, no offense, but Pat Shurmur and Jason Garrett aren't exactly Cliff Kingsbury.
Mm-hmm.
And Herbert with Kingsbury is playing great. And then it's the whole competition of, why did the Giants do this over this? Like, it's just, this will happen every year no matter the sport. Like, you're going to see it now. And this might sound a little biased, but I feel like Mac has been the best quarterback to come out of the first round so far for 21.
So far, yeah. Now, to be fair, he was also the one that profiled as someone who would be like the most like day one ready of all of them. But yes, he has been the best so far.
So now people are going to make this argument, say it's like San Francisco, where it's like, oh, why did you use all those picks and you could have got Mac Jones? Instead, you went for Trey Lance, who right now obviously he's hurt, but then he also too hasn't got exactly his opportunity. Plus, Jimmy looks really good for San Francisco. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like I understand the argument. People use it just to like piss other people off, but at the same time too, you have to look at it from a realistic standpoint of, look, owners are going to make their mistakes, GMs, coaches, name it what you want. It just is what it is. My whole thing on Flores, because while you were going in your rant, I was looking at your schedule coming up. If you guys, I think, can salvage the season and go on a little bit of a run here, because you still have to play the Jets twice, even though they won yesterday. They're still unpredictable.
They play the Texans this week.
The Texans, the Panthers, who I think are, I'll have to talk about that. I don't want to be too mean because I feel like karma will come back to bite me if I am. And you also have the Giants, another unpredictable team. You don't know what you're going to get week to week. So I feel like if you guys can salvage the season and manage to get to, say, it's going to sound bad, but 6-10, or even 6-11 or 7-10. Sorry, 17 new 17 game rule got one out my brain for a second. I feel like Flores can save his job, but if there's like games like the Texans or the Giants, or if you don't sweep the Jets, then I feel like the calls for his head are going to start to get bigger and bigger and bigger in South Beach.
Yeah, I think especially like not to scare you with this scenario, but if it is week 18 and if the Patriots need to win in Miami to make the wild card, and the Dolphins beat them again to end their season like they've done in years past, end their season in years past, meaning depriving them of the bye week.
This last 2 years.
Yeah, this year it could actually be like taking you out of the playoffs. Yes, I could totally see him saving it in that way. I mean, he was we talk about this all the time on the show. Like, I don't think people all of a sudden just become a terrible coach. Like, how can he be so good for 2 years and now the team is in total disarray? Like, I'm going to give him the chance, but just kind of reading some of the stuff behind the scenes and all this stuff, it's like the locker room is going to have to accept him, because if he keeps pissing off the locker room and they just keep losing and losing and losing and losing and losing, it's going to be a sad turnaround, going from like one of the best young coaches in the league to fired within a year. But like, if you're an asshole to your players, I mean, this is what happens. So yeah, I agree with you. I think he can salvage it. It is on the table. I mean, obviously, if this stupid fucking team trades for Deshaun Watson and starts him for 7 games, then there's a decent chance they'll get to 7-11. So we'll see how he does after the trade deadline. If they lose this Sunday to Houston at home, the game's in Miami, I think things could get real ugly.
Oh, 100%. I just wanted to just shift gears here, because honestly, I just had to get your opinion on that, because obviously the last time you were on was the first Danny Dimes primetime game. And then, folks, like I said in the intro, we'll be back here in 3 weeks for the third installment of the Danny Dimes primetime series. Hopefully next year we get Giants Colts. Next thing I wanted to make, obviously today there was the big news of Derrick Henry going down, but then Von Miller gets traded to from the Denver Broncos to the LA Rams. They're basically building all the Infinity Stones of Thanos on defense there in LA, and what truly is now a go broke or go home kind of year.
Yeah, we talked about it before the show. The conference title game at worst, Super Bowl most likely, is what they would need. to feel satisfied. They can't lose in the divisional round again. And it's a shame because there's a lot of really good teams in the NFC. Like think about two of the Rams, Packers, Bucks, Cardinals, and Cowboys. Three of those teams are not going to make the NFC title game, which is crazy because like they all look like they're that caliber right now. So yeah, the Rams are going to play one of those teams in the divisional round. They might even play the Bucks or the Cowboys or the Packers in the divisional round. And the expectation is they got to win. And the Cowboys need to get back to the conference title game for the first time since '95. The Bucks are trying to repeat. The Packers are in the last dance with Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot at stake for all four of those teams.
And then there's just the Arizona Cardinals. They're chilling. Like obviously, AJ Green had his little boo-boo, if you will, mess up on, which I don't blame that on him. Look, it was just a miscommunication. Like you can't. Obviously, everyone was jokingly saying senior moment or like, what are you doing? But I think that was just some mistakes happen. But then at the same time, too, game-winning interceptions in Glendale have a special place in my heart. The next point I'm going to make, too, is there's another team I got to say we have to watch for after yesterday, and I'm still saying it. I even tweeted this yesterday. I think it's time we have to start considering the Saints, even though without Jameis. With Sean Payton, I feel like they could be a team that can make some noise in the NFC. I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but I think they're going to be a very tough team to play.
I agree with you. And I noticed I was reading some recaps of yesterday's game, and there was a lot of people saying, oh, it's an incredible win, but now James is out for the year, so their season's over. I don't agree. I think that the defense is elite. The defense is like top 3 in football right now. It's that good. And Sean Payton is the kind of guy that can maybe do a little bit of, 2013, 2014 Chip Kelly, where whether it's with Nick Foles or Matt Barkley or Mark Sanchez, like the offense is still like pretty good. And we kind of saw glimpses of that with Trevor Siemian. He made some mistakes. I'm not saying it's sustainable to keep winning with Trevor Siemian, but I think a combination of Trevor Siemian, Taysom Hill, and if they do bring in a Cam Newton or someone else, we'll see. We don't know yet. I think the defense is good enough and the offense is well coached enough. They also have a great offensive line. And that's usually these teams that have like these elite defenses. And we usually try to say in the offseason, yeah, the defense is going to be elite. We'll see if the offense could just be okay, like they could still make the playoffs. Usually those teams don't have great offensive lines, and this team has a fantastic offensive line, one of the best in football, one that outplayed the Bucs defensive line yesterday. Even though the running game still wasn't elite because it's never going to be against the Bucs, the pass protection just held up really well. So I think I agree with you. And also, the last point on this is, if you look at the wild card race for the NFC, like all those teams are flawed. The 49ers, the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Panthers, all those teams are flawed. Like you got people who think Mike Zimmer is going to be fired this year. Jimmy G might lose the starting job in San Francisco. The Seahawks are only 3-5 and had a bad defense, although it's played better the last 2 weeks. The Panthers have Sam Darnold, who no one trusts, even though their defense is elite. Like, why can't the Saints beat the Panthers to get to the playoffs? Because they're both doing the same thing. They're both trying to win with an elite defense and a limited offense. I think the Saints offense can be better than the Panthers offense. I don't think that's impossible. So yeah, I'm on your side on that.
Yeah, and also my thing too is, like you said, all those teams are flawed there. And like I want to quickly shift to San Francisco because I feel like that's a team where you never hear of, oh, hey, Shanahan and Lynch on the hot seat, because if you look at their records, minus the year they went to the Super Bowl, they've had losing seasons every single season that they've been there. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure on them to win. But like out of all those teams you just said, New Orleans is the best one by far. Even to Minnesota, I say this. I say Mike Zimmer should be fired mainly because, what a catch by...
Yeah, that's a hell of a catch.
Holy shit, John Ross.
Yeah, with the PI.
Yeah, I know. As soon as he's come down, I'm like, he's getting flagged. But yeah, that's the thing too. Like, even yesterday I said, I'm like, Mike Zimmer was basically blaming like, poor play, and then his clock management was shit in that fourth quarter last night. They used all this time up so quickly. I feel like for the Vikings, honestly, it's a you gotta win this year or make the playoffs or you're gone for Zimmer, because Zimmer's been there for so long too, where it's been a lot of mediocre football.
Yeah, he has been, and I think I will say with certainty the Mike Zimmer Kirk Cousins combination, that is not coming back. Whether it is that they trade Kirk or they fire Zimmer or both, I just don't think you can do that again when it's been proven year after year that it's not good enough. I mean, he mismanaged the clock, and also he called 2 timeouts in a row and didn't realize it and got penalized for it. On that third down play that Zeke made, it went from 3rd and 16 to 3rd and 11 because he called timeouts back to back. like those 5 yards matter because Zeke barely got the first down as is. So if he doesn't make that mistake, maybe you stop them and you go to overtime and maybe you win the game. So yeah, I fully agree with you.
Exactly, because even the other thing too is they've also been a revolving door of offensive coordinators. So like Mike Zimmer's entire tenure there, where they've lost guys head coaching jobs like Pat Shermer, Kevin Stefanski, Gary Kubiak was there, but then obviously he retired, so now it's his son actually, Clint Kubiak.
They had John DiFilippo a few years ago. Yeah,
exactly, just to prove the points even further. So like Minnesota needs something stable there, and also I just hate it how 1 year Justin Jefferson's great, and then I didn't have him in fantasy, and I had Adam Thielen who was okay. Now it's the opposite, and Adam Thielen seems to be like the main go-to guy in Minnesota.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson, I still think is one of the best receivers in football. It's just their offense like is so inconsistent. Like they're kind of seen as this like high scoring offense, which is kind of what they were last year, but they're really not. Like they're in and out. They'll have games where they'll drop 30 and they'll have games where they can't hit 20. Like they're just so up and down. It's a reflection of running an offense with Kirk Cousins, having a bad offensive line, and having all the turnover that you talked about. So yeah, I don't want to see Jefferson's career go to waste because he's a really, really good talent, and I think they need to do better for him soon.
No, exactly. I think that's what, like, I think I even said this off air. It's open season completely, like not just in the NFC but in the AFC too. It's just I feel like if I had to pick a winner right now, I'd probably go AFC because the NFC is just going to kill each other. Just like look at all the teams that you have to truly go through just to get to the conference championship game. Like we said before, there's the Cowboys, there's the Rams, there's the Buccaneers, there's the Packers, there's the Cardinals. That's 5 teams right there.
Yeah, it's a significant commitment that you'd have to put on all those individuals. And like your attrition matters. Like, you know, it matters a lot more in the NBA, but it does matter in the NFL too. Like I remember the 2015 Broncos, you know, like the NFC is what everyone thought the 2015 Cardinals, the 2015 Panthers, or the Packers that year would be the Super Bowl team. And the AFC really only had the Broncos and the Patriots as the serious teams. And, you know, that buildup of just playing tough game after tough game after tough game, week after week after week can add up. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I'm going to give myself a little more time because I don't spot a clear contender. If I had to guess, I would guess Bills, Rams are, in my opinion, the most complete teams in that they both have top 10 offenses and top 10 defenses. But that is a very, very, very early call. A lot can change.
Oh, 100%. And also one thing I'm going to say too is Thanksgiving night, Thanksgiving Day. So we have a crappy game at 12:30 with the Lions and the Bears. But the 4:30 and the 8:15 game, we have the Raiders and the Cowboys and the Saints and the Bills. 2 games I expect to be fantastic. So for my American listeners in BigRat, get your turkey and fill up because it's going to be a good day of football after the first game.
And in my opinion, the best day of DFS of the entire year because you can do one DFS lineup for those 3 games. So it's not as random as doing it for one game, but it's not like it's for 12 games and you have to do too much research. It's like the sweet spot where you can research each game pretty thoroughly. And listeners, it is so much fun. 2 years ago, to show how much of a degenerate I am, I played Jesper Horsted, tight end for the Bears. And he caught a touchdown pass from Mitch Trubisky against the Lions. It was his only catch the whole game. He had 1 catch for a touchdown. But I was so happy because he was so cheap. And I did so much research to play Jesper Horsted that it was a very euphoric feeling on my Thanksgiving. So y'all will love it. It's really worth the wait.
You know what? I was going to do, obviously, I don't know. I'm not sure if I have you on Instagram or if you have Instagram, but I've been posting weekly betting stuff, and I feel like I got to do one on Thanksgiving where I pick the 3 teams and hopefully I come out on top. Because yesterday, I almost did well, but for some reason my dumbass decided to take the Lions money line, thinking, you know what, this is their time, they're going to get the win.
I thought so too. I took Lions plus 3.5. So I felt the same effect. I think I've realized that now with the Lions, when they're playing like a pretty good team, they're going to fight more than people expect. But when they play a bad team that people think they can beat, that's when they're going to disappoint. That is my conclusion.
It's like the Jets last year. Remember how you were so on the Jets beating the Cleveland Browns and no one wanted to believe you, and Danny thought, oh, haha, you're funny, and then they won? The Lions are going to win a game against a team that no one expects them to win.
Yes, they're going to be like 9-point underdogs, like on the road. Like they should have beaten Baltimore. They should have beaten the Vikings. They played the Rams tougher than they played the Rams tougher than the Bucs did. Like they're gonna win some stupid game out of nowhere, and we're all gonna be like, what? It's gonna kill some survivor teams too, which I love.
Yeah, the Bengals did that yesterday. We'll get to that in a minute. They have the Steelers after their bye week. Then they have the Browns. Then they have the Bears, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Cardinals, and the Falcons. I could see that Steelers or Browns game because we'll talk about both those teams. One of those games potentially, Isaac, because no one's going to see it because they're going to say after the bye week, it's, don't buy into the Lions. Don't do this or that. And, look at that. Minus Giants plus 10.5. Let's go.
In a great spot.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were on fourth. Was that Kyle Rudolph?
Yeah, I played him in a showdown, so I am like fucking ecstatic right now. I played him and Tyreek, who got the other touchdown. So
love to see it, but no, like that's my point. I think it's the Lions are going to win a game that like no one expects them to win, or even watch. They're going to beat the Bears on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that would not surprise me at all. That would be very, very, very fitting, and the game will be in Detroit too. Yeah, I could see it. But yeah, they're a frustrating team to bet on because they cover against all these good teams, and then they get their asses kicked like by teams that aren't very good. Like, remember, people thought they would beat the Bears on the road a few weeks back, in their first match. People thought that before people realized how good the Bengals were, they thought they could beat the Bengals at home like 2 weeks ago, lost 27-0, and then the Eagles, another example. Like, it's crazy.
Which it just is what it is with that. That was insane to me even too. If you don't mind, I'm going to take a second. There's another game I got to talk about. I got to talk about my boys getting a much-needed road victory over the LA Chargers as the Patriots take the Chargers down 27-24 in what wasn't the most perfect football game, but the clock management at the end after the pick six from Bill Belichick was incredible.
Yeah, he's like that's why like we've talked about it before. I don't want to give it too much attention, but like this notion that like he is not like one of the greatest coaches of all time, if not, in my opinion, the greatest coach of all time, just because he had Brady. Like don't pay attention to their 7-9 record last year. He maximizes these rosters, and everyone is so well coached on what to do with situational football, and that was another fantastic example of it. And they're a good team, man. They're a good team. I think the Dolphins can beat them, but we did beat them, of course. But they're a good team, and I think they have good odds to make the playoffs because much like the NFC, the wild card teams all are flawed in some way, shape, or form. So, and now you have the tiebreaker over the Chargers, which is huge, because you very well might need it.
Oh, 100%. That's even the other thing too. I was going to say because they're showing the Titans film. The Titans now hold tiebreakers over both the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yep, and they have the best record.
And I only say that too because obviously the Chiefs are a team that, look, for all we know, they're going to go on a run and finish the season 13-4. For all we know, that could happen. Will it? I doubt it. But with the Patriots, though, I feel like, look, the first few weeks were a little rough. And I look at it, the only loss where I take it as, you know what, that sucked was the Saints loss because, like, you guys, it was just an unfortunate fumble. We played the Packers a hell of a lot better. Not the Packers, the Buccaneers a lot better than I thought we would. The Texans was sloppy, but hey, come back to Houston are a thing I know. And then the Cowboys game was just, almost picked. Almost. So was that
Oh, my God.
Barry.
Oh, man.
God. And then even to the Cowboy game was just, that was so, I was more pissed off about losing the Cowboy game, to be honest with you, than the Buccaneer game. I was just glad that we covered against the Buccaneers.
Would you say that the Cowboys beat the Buccaneers?
No, I was with the Cowboys and the Patriots, and the Bucs and the Patriots with the. Yeah. I was pissed that we lost the Bucs game because I thought we had a chance to win that, and our defense let us down. And also, that's a game where I truly understood how good CD Lamb is.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that guy. I have him in I have him in like 5 out of my 6 fantasy leagues this year. I drafted him everywhere. I'm in love with him. He's a boss.
He's so good, and because that's the thing I'll say too. Before I make my point with CD Lamb, because I was mad we lost that game with the Buccaneers game. I was like, you know what, it sucks we lost, but at the same time too, it wasn't this 40-point blowout that everyone was expecting to have happen. And when you do that, you can just pat yourself on the back and go on to the next one. The only other point I'll make about the Patriots quickly is, look, we have 4 games in November. Obviously, our buys are the same week in December. We play the Panthers, the Browns, the Falcons, and Dante Pettis is a fucking moron.
Yep. Oh my God. Thank God I didn't have to play him. Because I have Sterling Shepard in my home league, and I wasn't sure if he was going to play, so I picked up Dante Pettis as my backup. And I'm very, very happy that I was able to just play Sterling Shepard.
That was almost as bad as what Rondale Moore on Thursday night.
Yeah, that one was ugly.
Yeah, but no, my only point about that, the 4 teams that we play in November, if we can, so we're 4-4 right now. If we can get to either 7-5 or 6-6, because I doubt we'll be at 8-4. If we can get to one of those records going into December, that Buffalo Bills game, week 13,
yep.
I think we're making the playoffs. If we're at, like I said, 6-6 or 7-5.
Yeah, and you have that Bills thing where you play them like twice in 3 weeks, and yeah. I just have a hard time seeing you not getting one of those games when you play them twice in 3 weeks. Like I just get the sense that like when you play them that close together, like the familiarity, how well coached the Patriots are, like it just seems like usually in this spot, like it's a split. And I think what I mean is a split when it's 2 out of 3 weeks. Usually that's a split, almost always. And I would think there could be. And if you beat the Bills once, I'd book your ticket to January, because if you could beat the Bills once, then I think you're looking pretty good.
For as much as I would love to win at home, when we go to Orchard Park, it's Monday Night Football, prime time. Yep. I would love nothing more as a Patriots fan to go into Ralph Wilson Stadium or whatever it's called now and get the win, because just beat them in their house on prime time, because it's going to be a full house in Bills, because Bills Mafia always has, like, that's a game they always circle on their calendar, because I know people call me a homer or whatever for saying this. I still think they have a little brother mentality towards us until they win a championship.
I mean, they would probably think so too. Like they would feel a little. I mean, look at the Browns and the Steelers. Like I was listening to Mark Sessler from the NFL Network, who's a huge Browns fan, and he said that like the Steelers beating them like yesterday kind of undid some of the progress they got by beating them in the playoffs last year, because it was supposed to represent a changing of the guard, a new era. The Browns are going to be the one contending for the AFC title, not the Steelers. And the Steelers kind of just undid all that, like, in one game. So, yeah, like, things can change really, really quickly. Like, rivalries don't really unseat until you can sustain the excellence, sustain the dominance for more than just one season. So, yeah.
Exactly. And also, too, just going back to what you said earlier about the Dolphins winning Week 18, look, I think he hurt his hand on that play, so I'll take myself to the round with a grain of salt.
And look, by all means, like the Patriots are almost certainly going to be favored in that game. Like, I'm well aware of that. Look, Griff, my Dolphins fandom is in a bad place right now. I might have a sexual predator as my quarterback by tomorrow. I might lose my franchise quarterback now. I might lose the whole locker room, lose my GM, lose my head coach, and do not have my own first-round pick. All I have left is what I've had for most of the last 10 years, beating the Patriots the last week of the season and hurting. I got left.
It's all good. It's all good, my dude. It's all good. I'm just looking ahead to next week. There are some spreads that are like you guys are a 7-point favorite. The Colts, this one, like, I want to take the Jets. The Colts are a 10.5-point favorite over the Jets.
Yeah, and I think there's a reaction like to the Mike. Like, hey, I mean, he played awesome. Like, that was great. Like, that was fun to see. We'll see if they can sustain it. A betting podcast that I listened to actually did predict they had Jets plus 10.5 as their best bet of the week, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, who's really angling to take the Jets with Mike White? And he made the argument that he doesn't think it's possible for Mike White to be worse than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was turning it over way too often. He thought, if nothing else, it was equal. And for that reason alone, plus 10.5 was great value. And then they won outright. So we'll see how long he could sustain it. I told Danny on Twitter, and this is to all you Jets fans listening, like, as a Dolphins fan, I had to deal with Matt Moore and Ryan Tannehill. I had to deal with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua. I can promise you, if Mike White keeps playing well, the fan base is not going to forget about that when Zach Wilson is back in the starting lineup. That will be held against Zach Wilson forever until Zach Wilson can prove that he's like a consistent good quarterback, because that's how fans react to backup quarterbacks. And I've done a lot of it over the last few years.
I saw you guys exchange on Twitter today, and I got to say, I'm with you. I like the fact that Robert Saleh just said that he didn't name a starter. Because also to the point of that, I'm like, yeah, no shit. They're playing on Thursday. It's not like this game is Sunday afternoon. This is the Thursday nighter, which I also looked at the prime time. Thursday night and Monday night, good Lord, it's the Steelers and the Bears next Monday night, for those of you wondering.
Oh God, yuck! I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Ah,
yeah. It's the Steelers and the Bears next Monday night, which
Sunday night is good, but still. Yeah.
Rams and Titans, which that'll be a good game. But Monday night, Jesus Christ! So like as soon as I saw that Steelers Bears, I'm just like, there's been a handful of games. There's only been one other primetime game this year where I was just like, I have no desire to watch it. And that was Steelers Seahawks, but that was obviously because of Russ's injury. And I was a big advocate for moving one of Browns and Cardinals or Chargers Ravens into that slot. But I didn't know this year because of the extra week. The NFL can only flex 2 games until week 11. And then after week 11, it's open season.
You would think that they would try to change this moving forward, just because more flexibility is always better. But I guess we'll see. We'll see how they handle it. But that's how they should be, at least in my opinion.
Exactly. But that like as soon as I saw that for this month, like even too, we have one coming up at the end of the month on Monday Night Football. The Seahawks and the football team.
I think Heineke is fun to watch, but like he's just a little bit chaotic. So maybe that game will be fun. Here's a crazy stat for you: the Washington football team, they were 3-point underdogs against the Broncos yesterday. They punted once. And they lost by 7. And this happened against the Packers too. They were in the red zone 5 times and they scored 0 points. It's a crazy stat. They've been in the red zone like 10 times the last 2 games. They have 1 touchdown, 1 field goal, 3 blocked field goals, and 4 turnover on downs. It's ridiculous.
Do you want to know something though?
What's up?
Do you want to know the last time the football team beat the Packers in Lambeau was?
Was it? It wasn't 2016.
No.
When the Packers were on that losing streak and they lost to the Titans. Okay, then I'm not sure.
1988.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok. Believe it or not, like I saw a Packers fan just posted saying like football team hasn't like won in Green Bay since or at Lambeau since 1988, which I was just like, Jesus Christ, that's impressive.
Wow, that's a long streak. Damn. Never mind.
Yeah, I know, over the heads. But the one thing I was gonna ask you too, though, I just wanted to get your opinion on, because obviously we were talking earlier about like Flores in the hot seat. There's a handful, not a handful. There's 2 coaches this year who I thought their seats were really hot at the beginning of the year, but their seats have cooled down significantly, and that is Cliff Kingsbury and Zach Taylor.
Yes, and I will say on Cliff, as someone who's been critical of Cliff on this show in years past, no doubt he deserves credit.
I think he's got a broken hand.
Oh boy.
Sorry, I saw the replay.
No. I can see what you're pointing at. Yes, on the Cliff thing, like he's no doubt done a better job. I think Vance Joseph deserves a lot of credit. Like that defense is really, really, really good, and they're not really seen as like one of the league, but they're top 10 in most metrics. Like the defense has played really well, so they deserve some credit too. I think Cliff needs to sustain it though, and I think you would agree. Like he needs to, because one thing I saw someone posted this on Reddit the other day. Like Cliff Kingsbury, like even going back to Texas Tech, he's like terrible down the stretch of a season. Like, and you kind of saw this with the Cardinals a little bit last year when they went on that losing streak late in the year. Granted, Kyler hurt his shoulder, so maybe you can blame it all on that. That's fine. But if you look at the Cardinals' schedule right now, so they already lost once, right? 7-1. They played the Niners. They played the Niners this week, and Kyler might not play. Okay, so that raises cause for concern. In 2 weeks, they play the Seahawks, who will be getting Russell Wilson back for that game most likely, and I believe the game's in Seattle.
Yes, so week 11 is in Seattle. Week 18 they play in Glendale.
So would it surprise you? And in between the Niners and the Seahawks game is the Panthers, and the game's in Carolina. Now, I think
the game's in Arizona.
Oh, it's in Arizona. Never mind. So I think they're a better team than the Panthers, and I think they should beat the Panthers. But the Panthers did destroy the Saints earlier in the season. Someone made a good point yesterday, like why they were probably undervalued in the betting market. Shaq Thompson came back yesterday, and he had missed like 3 games. He changes that defense completely. Like he has taken the leap, and he's become their best player this year. And those 3 weeks that he was out was when they were on that losing streak, and now he's back. So I'm just saying, if the Cardinals lose to the Niners this week without Kyler and to the Seahawks in 2 weeks, even if they beat Carolina, well, now you're 8-3. And it's still great. It's still an improvement, no doubt about it. But if you start getting more losses, if he starts out 7-0 and somehow finishes the year like 10-7 or something like that, and they miss the playoffs, that could be a problem. I'll say that. But yes, I'm not going to focus on the negatives. Like the team is 7-1. They've played really well. It hasn't felt fake. It hasn't felt fraudulent. Like they've handled some teams that they've played. So he deserves a lot of credit for that. No doubt about it.
Oh, 100%. Like this year, I think it's all been the Cardinals. I think they both have everyone from ownership, Michael Bidwell down, understand. Look, they have to make the playoffs this year, otherwise it's going to fail season.
Yes, even if it's like even if they're a 10-win non-playoff team, I think any non-playoff season he might be gone.
Exactly.
But you started 7-0, so like you're in a good spot.
Right now, you are. So like you said, you just have to finish it off because even I'm looking at their schedule. They have a Monday night game, December 13th, against the Rams. That's going to be a huge one. They have Christmas night against the Colts, which Christmas Day, you have Packers, Browns, Colts, Cardinals. Those are two really good games going up against, I know, NBA, Christmas Day, but you have two really good NFL games on Christmas. Like even last year's, too, Saints Vikings, obviously, was the one. Kamara won a lot of people their leagues.
Hey, and so I don't know if I've ever told the story in this podcast. I won my fantasy league that week against Alvin Kamara in one of my leagues. Yeah, the greatest upset of all time. I was down 56 points going into the Sunday slate, and me and my friends, we still won. So let that be a lesson. We had Brady that game that he played the Lions, and he had five touchdowns before halftime. Yeah, whatever it was. We had Brady and Rodgers, who both like combined for 10 touchdowns.
Another pick.
Oh. Wow, this time you were ahead of me. Because I had my head turned.
Yeah, I think I was looking, or they're calling it.
No, it's incomplete. You'll see it on the replay. Incomplete.
Okay. Oh, but still, though, look, hey, they're covering. They're covering. That's all I care about.
And I believe that either that was on third. No, not now. It's third down. So, still in a good spot.
Yeah, it was incomplete.
Oh, but yeah, Christmas football, a fun time. Obviously, everyone, spend time with your loved ones. Obviously, no doubt about that. But we bond with our loved ones over Thanksgiving. It's no different to do that over Christmas as well. So,
exactly. And then the other matchup too is Week 17 with Cardinals and Cowboys, which right now is at 1:00. But the Sunday nighter at the moment is Vikings and Packers. If I'm NBC, you have to get a way to get that Cowboy Cardinal game in the Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, you can kind of see the path. You can kind of see the path for the Cardinals are going to be tested here because they obviously every game in their division is hard, every single one, and so they have 4 division games left. They have the Cowboys, they have the Colts, so yeah, like they're gonna have to beat some of these good teams, which they've done. I'm not implying that they're frauds and they haven't done that yet. They have. They destroyed the Rams, who I just said would make the Super Bowl a few minutes ago. But yeah, they're going to be. We'll say this: if they make the playoffs, they will have earned it. They will not have snuck in like the Bears did last year. Like they will have 100% like proven themselves to be good enough to be playoff worthy.
Yeah, and the more I also do, I'm just going to jump to the Bears because in a second actually, but when I look on the reverse, whose seats are really hot or I think is gone at the end of the year, you have to put Vic Fangio. I was calling for that last year at this time, saying he should have been fired. I think they just need an old school, not an old school guy. That's what Vic is. Vic is in his 60s. You have to get a younger guy, offensive-minded head coach in there to help run that offense. Because obviously the defense is great, but Denver, I feel like they want to rebuild, but they don't. And then with Chicago, look, I think for as good as Justin Fields has looked at times, I think Nagy's got to go. I think, look, they just because their good has been good, but their bad has been really bad.
And I on the Broncos, I should say, I don't want to admit defeat just yet because they are 4-4 and it is still a long season ahead of us. But I do remember me, you, and Phil did this show, and I had the Broncos as my like surprise team to make the wild card, and you guys had the Raiders. And obviously, I mean, right now the Raiders call is looking pretty good. I don't think you expected John Gruden to get fired midway through as part of your prediction. But yeah, like it's still a long season, but I will admit. Fangio has been a little disappointing, and the defense, like the talent is so the defensive roster is so good, and yet they have these games like against the Raiders a few weeks back where they just get destroyed and embarrassed. So yeah, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain, but I do agree with you. He's got to go. Nagy would as well. Hell, I mean, we probably would have fired both of those guys last year. So.
I think Nagy got the benefit of the doubt because even Mike Florio kept making this case where he went 12-4 and then he went 8-8 in 2 seasons. So Nagy's never had a losing season they didn't punch in. But I'm looking at the Broncos schedule. They have the Cowboys this Sunday, which probably chalking up as a loss. Then they have the Eagles. Then their bye week. Holy crap, the Raptors are killing the Knicks. Love to see it. And then they still have to play the Chargers twice. They still have to play the Chiefs twice. They have the Bengals, and then they still have the Raiders. The only cupcake in there really is the Lions week 14. So, and also I said this too with the Broncos after they went 3-0. Month of October to impress me. They went 1-4, and they're 4-4. So that's why I'm kind of writing them off.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard. This is one of the problems with the trade deadline that people mentioned. That with the trade deadline, there's no team is really out of it. Obviously, my team is, and they stupidly want to trade for a sexual predator. But it's hard to like Adam Beasley made this point. How can you look at a team full of veterans in your locker room? Let's say you're 3-4, right? Because like some teams have had their bye weeks. How can you look at a 3-4 team and say, hey, we're going to sell off some pieces to prepare for the future? What the Broncos did was very unique. But for a lot of teams, it's going to be hard to do that because only like a handful of teams are truly, truly eliminated right now.
Yeah, you're right. There's only a handful that are like, really say that are out. Like, for example, the let's go by division. I can't see anyone in the NFC North is truly out. The South, obviously, you have the Jags and the Texans. I put the Colts kind of on the brink of that. With the East, I'm going to go Jets, and sorry, I'm going to say Dolphins. The AFC West, there's no one really like that's set in stone for it. And then obviously the NFC North, I can already say three teams. I can see 3 or 4 not making it. The South, Atlanta. The East, I can see only one making the playoffs. And then the West, there's no one. So there's still only, you're right, there's only a handful of teams, so I can say at this moment aren't going to make it. Like I'd say 3 or 4 with the North and the NFC, obviously. But look, when you look at it, I just don't think Minnesota's going to have what it takes, and same with Chicago.
You don't think San Francisco is going to have is that what you said?
No, with the North. The West, I still don't know. I'm still standing by my preseason take that the Seattle Seahawks would miss, though. I'm still standing by that take.
It's looking good. I mean, I know Russ is coming back, but looking good so far. Chicago's going to be inconsistent. They're going to have some games where they win because of their defense. Fields is going to have games. I mean, he looked pretty good yesterday, but he's also he's going to have those games where he just looks terrible, like he did against the Bucs. Like, it's not going to be consistent week to week. I don't think you can build a playoff team that way. So I would not. I'm with you on that. They're not going to have it, in my opinion.
No, that's just the thing. There's teams where I can't see them having it. And also, too, I like Dan Campbell's fighting spirit, but with Detroit, Matt Corral is going to look really good in that Detroit Lion blue come next season. And now I obviously say that because there's a lot of different obviouses with the Detroit Lions. But look, at the end of the day, I just don't think they're ready for anything. Like they're going to get maybe a win or two, but Jared Goff ain't it. We all know that. I think it's now just getting exposed for what it is.
Jared, there were chants. There were chants. Whatchamacallit? There were chants for David Blau yesterday. So, yeah, that's how bad it is.
I mean, if there's a point where you feel like you're out of it or you're not going to win, maybe give them a shot. But at the same time, too, you can't do that considering how much Goff is getting paid.
No, you cannot. Absolutely not.
No, it's just one of those things. Like you could, but at the same time, too, it's just like, do you really want to go down that rabbit hole? And I doubt it. If you're the Detroit Lions, because you're just going to cause friction with the fan base. From the fan base, I feel like it's time, though, with them, they understand what's going on.
They understand what?
They understand what's going on. Like, they know, like, obviously they're used to pain, but they know that, like, look, hey, there's potentially there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's just how long they're in that tunnel for remains to be seen.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
you don't. Hey, I mean, I was part of a tanking fan base 2 years ago, and here I am 2 years later. So, who knows? Exactly.
You're 100% right. Who knows at the end of the day? It's just shit can go one way, shit can go another way. It just all depends on really what happens. Oh, sorry, I said switch to basketball for a minute because I'm sorry, not sorry, but the Toronto Raptors are getting the dub right now against the New York Knicks, and honestly, you don't hate to see it.
Fuck the Knicks.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? The only other thing I'm going to say before we go, because obviously I have to wrap it up because I have other commitment that I have to attend to, is The Las Vegas Raiders, I think, deserve credit. And also, I'll say this too. I think Derek Carr is there long term now. I don't think there's any like this whole Derek Carr stay. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Kind of questions.
He has played. He has absolutely played well enough.
16.
Yeah, no. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. I've been a critic in the past, but he's played exceptionally well. Per usual with him and with the Raiders as a whole, sustainability, sustain it all the way to the end. But there's no denying that he's had a much better year this year. So Miguel, if you're listening, I'll admit to that.
You know what? I will too. Miguel, a good friend of the show, one-time guest of the show. I'm trying to get him back on at some point, but we'll see where that goes. But no, also for this, one other thing I got to say too is our favorite receiver, Michael Pittman Jr., is finally showing out consistently and proving his worth in Indianapolis. You'd love to see it.
Proving for friend of the show, Michael Pittman. We'll get him on the show one day. Number one receiver, playing dominant, drawing his impact can't just be measured in his receiving yards because he's also drawing all these pass interference calls down the field, which is a big part of their offense. And he's blossoming into a stud. It's great to see, and excited for our, as you started the show with, our one-day Giants-Colts primetime game where we could see him and Daniel Jones in the same game.
The fact that Michael Pittman Jr. got his very first touchdown of the year during the Ravens-Colts primetime game with Danny and I recording live, and I got to react live to it, made my season. I absolutely loved that.
That was incredible to see. Now we just need Jacoby to get his first touchdown.
Oh my God! Huh? He had a 2-point conversion yesterday. He's gonna get it.
I saw that. I think it was the game against the Cowboys where he scored and there was a penalty on an offensive lineman to wipe it off or something like that. Oh my God!
There is one. Oh, he will. There's a couple predictions I'm gonna also take away from. I'm gonna say this. I think if they make the playoffs, I think Sean Payton deserves Coach of the Year.
Yeah, and I think and normally we don't give it to the Tomlin, Andy Reid, Belichick types, but I think this year, with no Drew Brees, with no Jameis Winston, I think this is the year where he actually could get like the votes for it too. Not just that he deserves it, but that he would actually get meaningful support for it too.
I had Brandon. It's just that really is worn off considering that their defense hasn't exactly. They can't play for some reason. They can't play his defensive scheme, which when you're okay, Booker, go, big run. Oh, it's coming back. As soon as I see a big run and it's like a flag, you're like, oh, but you know it's coming back.
You may be surprised.
Oh, what do we got?
I think they got him on roughing the passer. That's my guess.
I haven't. Roughing the passer on the Chiefs. That's the other thing I'm going to say too is, man, officiating's been so inconsistent this year that they really have to figure it out.
Yeah. No, and they're not even. It's one thing to have bad rules, and it's like, okay, we need to change some of these bad rules, but like the rules are inconsistently applied, and I think that's what makes it so frustrating.
Did you see yesterday, obviously maybe on Twitter, but the Jerry Tillery hit on Mac Jones after the whistle was blown dead?
Yeah, that was literally maybe the worst one of the year. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah, like that right there is like wasn't as bad as what Tillery did yesterday. And the fact that he was flexing on it, I was just like so pissed off. But that's the other thing I'll say about the Patriots too quickly. They can win ugly football games. It's just, look, they have to do just enough to win. As long as they can play mistake-free football for most of the game, they're good. It's just, man, Belichick just can't bench guys like Kendrick Bourne. Because obviously Kendrick had that bad fumble yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what Danny Jones did there. He kind of turtled. Oh, but anyway, folks, like I said, life gets in the way, and I've got somewhere to be. But anyway, we'll be back in 3 weeks for another Danny Dimes primetime game. We've got some great guests coming up. There are guests this week. That is right. Not just myself like last week because I forgot to book people, but coming up this Thursday, Phil Nightmare 10 is going to be on with me. Get you ready for the whole week. Next week, I have Matt Beast, Andy McNamara, and Pat Lane all coming on for a Patriots halfway preview, and that will preview all of the following week, week 10, which it sounds scary to say that, but he'll be here for that. And, I was hoping, can we get it? No, we can't get Danny Jones primetime play. And +2 for next week's Patriots-Browns game. Andy McNamara and I will be there to preview that. So we got a lot of action. And BigRat, one more question before you go. Thursday night, Jets, Colts. Give me a prediction.
Colts solidly. I think White comes back to earth a little bit, although still like plays respectably well. I'll say plays better than Zach Wilson again, but worse than he did this past week as the Colts win. And we'll see who's the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins this week, because I do not know the answer to that question. Hope to find out within a day.
We'll see what happens. So, there wasn't obviously any trades. I don't think that went down since then, because I haven't really been on Twitter since I started recording. But I feel like nothing really. I feel like you're like the NFL trade deadline is almost like the only active ones really are, I would say, baseballs, NBA's in certain situations, and then NHL. Besides that, though, like football, there's never really an active trade market until the offseason.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, nothing's going to happen. This Watson thing, it's just, I have no clue. And to be honest, like, to everyone listening, even though I don't want him while he has these charges and I'm going to have to deal with that as a fan, how I interact with that, more than anything, I just want this to end. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the weekly reports. Hopefully tomorrow, 4 p.m., it comes and goes. And at least we can stop having to talk about this every week in Dolphins media. So that's what I'm looking forward to. The end of the drama behind this more than the actual result. So that'll be fun.
For your own sake and sanity, that's what I hope we get. I think honestly, if there was a trade done, I think it would have happened by now. I doubt they would be waiting for the deadline. That is just me though. As I'm trying to prolong this, as hopefully he can. Oh, no, he fell short, but I can still. I think you have to take the points here if you're the Giants. Take the points if you're the Giants. Well, anyway, folks, like I said, we wrapped it up. We're all ready for the next week. This has been episode number 124 YWC Football Talk. Have a great one, guys, and enjoy the rest of the Monday Night Football game. But obviously, by the time you're listening to this and by the time this is up, that game will be over. Have a good one, everybody.